Welcome, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 1, how to set up your workstation before the client shows up, 2, what you need to do when the client gets there, and finally how to tear it all down and clean up after each tattoo. So if you guys are ready to do that, then let's go. Alright guys, well let's get right down to it. Before we start anything, you already know, now that we have gloves, we're ready to start the process. First thing I like to do is get everything lined up on my toolbox. So as you can see here guys, I have everything that I'm gonna need just laid out on top of my toolbox. This is my routine every time I go through. I think about everything I need, I pull it out, I figure out what needles I think I'm gonna need, everything, and I set it there. The first thing we wanna do is get some plastic wrap over our workstation. This is the workstation. This is the toolbox where I keep everything, the stuff I use daily. When it comes to actually tattooing, we have to transfer that to a sterile area, an area that is easy to keep clean before and after. So first thing we're gonna do is I'm just gonna use some spray. It's just water. You can use water, green soap, whatever, and just spray the surface. And all that's gonna allow you to do is get your plastic wrap to sit better on that surface. Next, we're getting our plastic film, whatever, saran wrap, and we're just gonna open it right up. It's gonna take 2 pieces. Once you have your plastic wrap down, your film, you can leave it at that if you'd like. But for me, I add a dental bib to the top. It's just an extra layer, and it also absorbs some liquid. So if you spill something or a little bit of ink gets out, that dental bib's gonna absorb some of it and just keep your work environment a little bit cleaner. So dental bib, you can order these by the box load and it's not too expensive and you get plenty of them, so use them. They're not expensive, they're cheap, and they're convenient. So for me, I work in order of importance. So obviously the most important thing was to get some plastic film on here, dental bib. Now the most important thing that I need is my machine. So I get that wrapped up first, set that aside, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so I'm just wrapping the machine up. I have a video on how I wrap it. There's also several other ways to wrap it. Nonetheless, I'll leave that up to you, but you wrap your machine, and for me, this is my power pack right here. So if you didn't have a wireless power pack, you would wrap your power supply. You could put a sandwich bag over it, you could wrap it in saran wrap. There's a lot of options, so if that applies to you, do that. And in this case, if you had to change out your battery pack because it died on you, you can easily take the tape off, slide it down, pop your old one off, put another one on, slide it back over, and slap the tape on. That's in this case. Again, if you had a power supply, you would just wrap that up, you'd wrap your clip cord, you'd wrap your machine. It's the same concept. So for now, we're just gonna set this right here. Consider that portion done. Also, I pull out the needles that I'm gonna be using for that particular tattoo. In this case, I'm not actually doing a tattoo right now, so I'm just gonna pull out the one because let's pretend like I'm lining today. I don't know. I'll take the razor as well. I'll set it right here. It's there, that way it limits the amount I have to go back over to my toolbox and fiddle with stuff. And if you do, ensure you take your gloves off, fiddle with stuff, put gloves back on, okay? Changing your gloves. Next, I'm gonna use my squeeze bottle of water or green soap, set it here. I use these right here. You don't need to use these. You can use a sandwich bag, you can use plastic wrap. The same thing is gonna be applied. These are just stuff that people sell to make your job just a little bit easier if you so decide to purchase that stuff. I do. So first thing is we're gonna open up the bag. We're gonna slide it in up to there. I then open up a second bag and we slide it over the top. I take it down to the edge here, pop it through. And while it is a little bulky or whatnot, it's staying safe, okay? There are plenty of other ways to do things. Again, I always emphasize this is just the way that I do things, but I'm always looking for tips. So if you got some, you see something I'm doing wrong here in the process or something that you do differently, please let me know, guys. Let's learn from each other, all right? Next, I'm gonna do the same thing with my green soap. Open it up, drop it on in. And again, just a little tug and you're through. So that is my green soap. There is my water. Next up is my A&D, Vaseline, Hustle Butter, whatever it is you're using, that's when you're gonna use it. Now, I use the individual packets of A&D. It's just easy for me, but again, there's no right or wrong here. So I'll peel one of those off. I dump it out onto the dental bib. I'll then take those caps that I had preset. I'll drop them here. You can put them on the popsicle stick if you'd like. I just take a little chunk like that, drop it on there, take a little chunk, drop it on there, take a little chunk, drop it on there. And then you can essentially move your inks around if they're in the way or whatnot. You want to slide stuff around, whatever. You can also get A&D everywhere. It's okay to get messy here. This is like your work area, and that's why we want to keep it separate from everything else. And so when we take it all apart, it's kind of a smooth process. Next, I'll also take a couple of cups because I'm sure I'm going to want to have some distilled water around for cleaning, for whatever. So I just dab those also into just a little bit of A&D, just because I know I'm messy and I know I'm going to spill this. Well, at least I have the potential to spill it. So just a little glue almost. And then you're going to fill those up with distilled water or whatever you may need. So this is the setup before they arrive. Now at this point, you're going to go ahead and just take your gloves off. You're not going to use the same pair of gloves for anything. You touched all this, leave it at that, put a fresh set on when the client gets there, and do what you have to do. Okay, so your client showed up. They were late as usual, just kidding, but they're there, and they're ready for their tattoo. You've already got the stencil on, you nailed that, good job, but now it's time to tattoo them. Now it's time to pour your ink. So again, gloves. First thing I do is I shake the ink up. I'm getting it ready. I'm gonna drop whatever ink I'm gonna use. In this case, I'm only gonna fill up 1 cup of ink because again, I'm not really tattooing, but you could have 15 caps, a million, whatever. A million, you might need 2 tables. Okay, there we have it. Our ink is poured. Next thing is I will pour my water at this point. That way it's not been setting that entire time. I'll pour that. In this case, I'm not gonna pour it. With my luck, I'll spill it everywhere because I'm on camera. That's just the way things go. Usually once the client is there, I will wait until they've sat down and I try to make sure that they get a visual of me opening this needle. It's not for me. I know that all this stuff is clean and I know that, you know, this is a fresh needle, but it's for them. They might not even notice that you're doing it, but make sure you do it while they're there so they can see you opening up the needle and putting it in the machine. And we'll insert it into the machine. So you just finished your tattoo, you're tired, it was a long one, but you made it, good job. The first thing I do is I take my needle out. Okay? And you want to dispose of it in the proper container. So, goodbye it goes, even though it was new. The next thing I do is I will set up a secondary dental bit. I'll just set that up over here. Again, some of the things I do are just for me. Now what I do is I take my machine. Again, I try to start with the most important thing. And then I slide the whole machine out and right onto the table. Next, I take my bag and I do the same thing. I pick it up, we take this off, put it here, we slide this down, and I drop my bottle there. To me, it doesn't matter if it falls over, stands up, just stay over there. And we repeat the process here as well. Top off, onto the dental bit. When it comes to your liquids here, you can take them over to the sink, your dirty sink, dispose of them. They also sell powder you can drop into that, which is gonna thicken it up and make it so you can dispose of it in the trash can. So those are your options when it comes to this. So at this point, I'm going to take all this, ball it up right here, carefully without touching the metal. You're gonna ball all of it up like so. You're gonna take it to the trash can, dispose of them, and your gloves at the exact same time. So now we have separated our trash. That's all been disposed of. The stuff that we're keeping essentially is over here. And now we're gonna go ahead and clean everything down. And that starts with another pair of gloves. So for my 2 bottles over here, I'm just gonna use a basic disinfectant on them. I just sprayed it onto a paper towel. Main spot I'm looking for is the top up here. It was exposed during the tattoo. So that's really what I wanna wipe down. But while I'm at it, I'm just gonna wipe the whole thing down. Next, what I'm gonna use is Cavicide. They also make Cavicide wipes, but if you were running low on those prior to the pandemic, then you're gonna even have a pretty hard time finding them now. I still have my spray, and so that's what I use. All you're gonna do is take the spray and spray it onto your work surface. I then take a paper towel and I move the liquid around, okay? We're just keeping it wet, but we're moving it around. We're wiping off a very thin layer of it off the surface. You can also go underneath and do the same thing. You could take this down to the floor. You can go wherever you need to. Now this needs to sit for a little while. I usually let it sit for 5 minutes. It says kill time in 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. I let it sit for 5, and then I'll come back over here and wipe it down real good. When it comes to my machine, I have a 2-step process. First, I'll spray it the way it is. I'll roll it. And I'll let it set right there, just like that. Okay guys, it's been a few minutes. I'm gonna wipe it down. I'm also gonna do the same thing to my machine and power supply that are attached. I spray it with the power supply on it, just to clean it all just the way it was when it was wrapped up. Now we give it a good wipe down here. Now I take the cap off of the machine. I take the battery pack out of the machine like so. So I have these 3 parts. I put the battery pack away, normally on the charger if it's low. Then I'll lay these pieces back out again. And I'll let that set for another 5 or so minutes. Some of those things you might be doing in the in-between time, be cleaning down your armrest, taking the plastic wrap off that, cleaning down your table. It seems like a tedious process, but believe me, it's worth it. I'd rather do this twice every single time than have one incident where somebody gets sick or something bad happens. So now I'm gonna come over here and just wipe this stuff down. And there you have it. I'm gonna set it back where it goes. Wrap this up and dispose of. Off with the gloves. So there you have it guys. We prepped stuff before the client showed up. We got stuff ready after the client got there, and when it was all said and done, we wrapped it all up, cleaned up, and are ready for the next client or just to go home. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. You know that helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed, consider doing so and ring the bell to get notifications when I post. Until next time guys, peace.